Hey, everybody. It is so good to be with you on Friday chatting with Chuck. I want to say welcome back, Vicar. I hope you had a great vacation and I hope you enjoyed my boat, but took care of it.
Yeah, I was off enjoying some R&R, and I heard there was a busy week here, I'm glad I was away for that. But yeah, no, the boat's been great. It's been fun to be back out on the boat.
Yeah, good. I'm glad you had a good time.
Well, so listen, since I kind of just breezed into town here, we're not as planned out as we normally are, but we're still going to answer your questions. So if you have questions, go ahead and leave those in the chat. We would love to get to those in a little bit. And then we're going to have a special guest in just a couple of seconds, couple of minutes maybe. But first, we want to start the way we always do, with a word from God's Word with Pastor Chuck.
It's good to be back on the boat. I missed it. This is from Ephesians chapter 4, because we've had such a really good week, and this has been coming to my mind. Paul writes, and he gave some as apostles, and some as prophets, and some as evangelists, and some as pastors and teachers, for the equipping of the saints, for the works of service, to the building up of the body of Christ, until we all attain to the unity of faith and the knowledge of the Son of God, to a mature man, to the measure of the stature which belongs to the fullness of Christ. Just a quick word. I've got to see this week while you're gone how many people work together using their gifts and abilities to build up the body of Christ here and all over the U.S. Just using gifts and abilities. Amazing gifted people working here. It's been so much fun.
Yeah, so what Pastor's talking about is Vacation Bible School was this week, and I'm really not a huge fan of VBS, so I often disappear during VBS. So many people around, it's really challenging for me.
But, I noticed you were gone.
Yeah, so I was out on the boat, and one of the things that comes up every year at VBS is there's this long argument around how people think I'm the VBS character, and it's just not true, and I'm really getting tired of it. And this time we actually had an opportunity to prove to you that I'm not the character. So because we have to social distance, I'm going to ask Pastor to step off for a minute. And I'm going to invite Cam to come on out. Cam was at VBS. So.
Well, hey, cousin.
Hey, Cam. It's good to see you.
It is good to see me. You should have been at VBS this week. Why? I was really hoping I'd see you there.
Well, I know, but I was traveling, couldn't make it.
Well, you missed a great time. I learned all about how Jesus' power pulls us through and that we can trust Jesus. And that's exactly what they did. Every time they heard the Bible point, man, they pulled their train whistle and said, trust Jesus.
Wow, that's great, Cam.
So, one odd thing, people kept calling me Jason. I mean, they kept insisting that I was just Jason dressing up as Cam.
I know. My kids say the same thing to me.
Your kids are the worst.
Hey! I mean, listen, clearly we're not the same person. We don't even look alike.
Right? So, why did you want me to come on this show again?
I just wanted to settle a long-running debate here at church.
Okay, then. Listen, I got to run and catch the train back home, but hey, let's get together the next time I'm in town and we can hang out.
Sure, sounds great. Bye, Cam.
All right, that was weird.
I'll tell you what, Pastor, so every year I get this. People say, oh, you're the VBS character, and I mean, I was happy finally that Cam was able to stick around from VBS and we were able to cross paths, and so now you know that we're not the same person. Now, I miss VBS every year, but I know there's always some great stories that come from VBS. So, Pastor Chuck, what are some of the great stories that you were hearing about VBS this year?
Well, I can only have time for a few, but this is really a different Vacation Bible School, as we could only have a few people in the building at a time, so we made sure that we could live stream everything. And what's so neat is we had people all over the U.S. and we got to send Vacation Bible School packets all over. I know I sent some to Texas. I sent some to Missouri, Kansas City. I know that we sent some to Cleveland. Just all over the U.S. And so it's really fun. But let me share just one story, because not only was it fun, but because we had families worshiping together and learning, but just kind of a fun story. My grandchildren in Kansas City, Missouri, started school this week. They got to watch the first couple days, and they started school Wednesday, and they really loved it live. They could do live chat and all that kind of stuff. They loved that. So when they had the first day of school, I how was school? Oh, it's really good. Well, let's FaceTime. You can tell me about it. Well, we're going to watch Vacation Bible School first. Really? Really? Kind of hurtful.
See where their priorities are.
Yeah, but we're hearing so many cool stories. We got a lot of pictures on Facebook page. If you have time after resting up, you should look at some of that. Hundreds of pictures, just the games and activities. It was so much fun.
Well, I actually, while I was out, I did see some of those photos, and they were super fun. I saw families that were like making, train-themed breakfasts, and they were doing, we provided, I guess, snacks and game ideas, but people had to do that on their own, and it seemed like people were really engaging with that from the pictures. There was one really great picture of some kids. They were dressed up in costumes, and they were on a big boat that they had made out of like couch cushions or something. So, yeah, I know. Actually, my kids. I found out that the first night, I think it was maybe first or second night, they actually watched VBS a second time because my oldest was here for doing some songs and stuff, I guess, at the beginning. And so when she got home later that evening, they got to watch VBS again and kind of do it all over again, which is another thing we don't normally get to do because we're not going to put this whole thing on in the evening after all the work we did in the morning. So that's kind of cool.
And so we know a lot of people are watching it live. A lot of people have to come back and watch it later, but you can go and you can still watch it. It's not too late, and it's been so fascinating. In fact, it's been so good. We've already planned the dates next year, so you might want to come one year. But next year we're going to have Vacation Bible School July 12th, good Lord willing, and so maybe you should plan being here.
Yeah. So it said like the July 12 to 17 of 2021, and I guess the theme is treasure, right? Discovering that you are God's priceless treasure. So yeah, I'm hoping too we can be back in person, because I hear it was fun, but it would be really nice for all y'all to be in person. I mean, not me.
So
I'm going to go out
fun.
of town, but
we'll
see.
Maybe
Now that I know the dates, maybe I'll try to reserve those so I don't go out of town. But anyway, so lots of cool stuff happening at VBS, which is really fun, and it's great to hear some of those stories. Another thing that we've been doing here the last couple of weeks is sharing some stories with you that ways that God has been doing good things in our lives. And we've got 3 questions that we've been kind of using to focus our thinking as we reflect on what those stories might be. And you can find those questions in our e-news that comes out each week. If you've not signed up for the e-news, would really encourage you to do so. You can do it at our website, firsttrinity.com. Near the bottom, there's a link that says register for email updates. And when you fill that out, you can sign up for our weekly e-news so that you can get all of the things, stories that are going on here and some details about what's happening. There's also actually an option, I don't know if you knew this, there's an option you can sign up for the prayer requests. So when we post prayer requests on our prayer wall, the email program will automatically, any prayer requests that came in the previous day, it'll send them out in the morning. So if you wanted to get the prayer requests by email, you could do that, and they'll just come any day there's a request, it'll send an email. If there's no request that day, no email comes. But anyway, so sign up on the e-news to get those questions, and you can look on Facebook to see the post with the e-news that has the questions. But I wanted to share a story that we heard. This one was from Barb. And Barb is a member here,
right?
And she's been, pretty regularly coming, and we hadn't seen a lot of her in the COVID season, but I think she's been on the stream worshiping that way. But here's a story that she shared with me. So here's what she wrote. She said, God has shifted things in a big way this summer. I started out employed, but at home in March, and I got laid off in mid-June. My nephew and his family also decided to relocate from Washington State, where they lived with Barb's mom, to Southern California. Now, Barb's mom is confined to a wheelchair, and she's not supposed to live alone. And it was clear to Barb that God had a change coming for her. So she listed her home for sale in July, had 19 offers on it over the course of 10 days. Friends were able to find homes for furniture, household items, and clothing that she would not be taking with her. And she went to a couple who were moving out of a furnished home. Some of it went to those moving out of a furnished home. Others went to a single mom. And some items went to a grandmother who had just gotten custody of her grandkids. She was blessed by not having to move those items. Other friends helped her finish up packing and cleaning so that she could head out when the movers finished packing up the truck. Her new neighbors in Washington State have been so good to her mom. The neighbor across the street fixed her toilet when it started leaking and soaked the bathroom floor. Another one mowed the lawn a couple of times, including a few days after Barb arrived. She's been blessed to be able to spend time with her mom, and she who was there for her growing up, and now it's her turn to be there for her mom. And her hope is that she'll be able to stay in this home for several years to come. Barb, that is such a really awesome story about how God is using you to care for your mom, and we're just so glad that you shared that with us. Boy, friends, there's just a lot of cool things that God is doing, even now in the midst of this COVID stuff. So very cool stuff, don't you think, Pastor?
It's amazing. God is so good. And it's important for us to train our minds to look for the way God is working and moving and acting in our lives. It changes our whole outlook on life, especially in hard times like these. So we're going to encourage you, keep sending us some stories about where you see God, what He's doing, and we'll try to share those if we have time.
Yeah, absolutely. So we were going to talk about something else, but I can't remember what it was now because I didn't make show notes.
What else we're going to talk about is mask.
Oh yeah, worship. So we've been hearing from people in worship. You know, we've been our policy has been just masks the whole time, and you know we've been at this for a while now. I don't remember the exact number, but like maybe 10 or 12 weeks of in-person worship again. And you know, numbers have been good here in New York, so we're talking about making some changes, not for this weekend, but we think targeting the following weekend. So not this weekend, but next weekend. Pastor, do you remember well enough to summarize?
Yeah, I think so. What's going to happen is, as long as you are seated, you don't have to wear your mask. So, so all the responsive parts or the singing parts, we're going to stand for. So if you're standing, you need to wear your mask. Like if you're standing up to leave, you got to put your mask on. If you're standing up to sing, put your mask on. If there's any part like a confession, you're going to stand up, put your mask on. Now, but as long as you're seated, you can take your mask off.
Yeah, so we'll be thinking about the design of the service because I know a lot of times there's songs that we're singing when we're seated. So, we're going to be changing that up a little bit. As Pastor said, we'll stand for the songs because then we can participate and sing together. But there may be other things that we would normally do where there would be like I might say something and you would respond. Maybe we change that up a little bit, do it a little different way so that we're not standing for the whole service.
Right.
But we'll make sure that anytime you're supposed to be speaking or singing, that you'll be standing, and that's the cue to put the mask on. And I'm really thankful for the COVID task force because they've been working really hard on this stuff. And, you know, they're in this very tough position because, and we hear this too sometimes from people that, you know, there's a lot of people who think we got to do the most restrictive thing we can do, and they only feel safe if we're doing that. And then there's other people who are not, you know, they think we're doing way too much, and they're not going to come if we're going to be so restrictive. And a lot of times there's this tension there, and you know what we want to do is just meet people where they're at as best we can and care for people and provide a safe place to worship. And so I know if you're frustrated with the policy and you know how it's been, you know, some changes are coming, and hopefully that'll help. But I want to just make sure we all remember that we are still one family, one people, and as we move through this together, we're going to kind of do the best we can. And unfortunately, the COVID task force takes a lot of the I don't know if blame's the right word, but
I blame them.
I blame them, sure, why not? You know, they're the ones who really have to struggle and wrestle and ask the questions, well, what's going to happen if we do this? And does this meet the guidelines from the state of New York and CDC and all those different groups? So we're really thankful for their work. They've put a lot of time and effort into getting us open in a safe and healthy way. And as I said, next week we're hoping that's going to go into effect, not this weekend. So this weekend it's still wear masks for the full service. But next weekend we're hoping these new things will be available. And we'll make sure you have those latest guidelines in the e-news this coming week and also on our website on our reopening page.
I'm pretty excited about it. Vicar Jason said this. It's really been challenging, and we want to keep our focus right. And we're here to worship about the Lord. So we're trying to get it right.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so we're going to get to your questions now. I'm going to check my chat here and see if we've got any. So if you didn't put your question in the chat, now is the time, and we're going to answer it right here live on the boat. So that's exciting. All right, so let's see. Marcia said her favorite, Niagara J. Jamie wants to know, what was your favorite part of VBS? That was we kind of talked about that. Do you have anything
Yeah,
to add?
I always, there's so much I enjoy, and I miss having hundreds of kids here, but I loved the kids that came out to lead us in the singing. They were awesome. They were so good. So I enjoyed the opening songs. I always enjoy meeting your cousin. It's too bad he had to leave. But he shared some stories. It's kind of embarrassing.
My cousins are very embarrassed.
Yeah,
very embarrassed. I would not want to be around them.
Yeah, but I loved the technology. It's been fascinating to see that everyone pulled this off. It's a lot of good stories.
Yeah. So let's see. Marcia said her favorite part was the excitement of it all. Let's see. Tracy, who's our VBS director, she wants to hear our best all aboard. I guess like we're boarding a train. So, should we do it on 3?
Okay.
1, 2, 3. All aboard! There you go. See? Let it not be said that we are not men of the people, doing what the people want. Okay. Karen wants to know, where did Jason go on his boat for vacation? Well, first of all, on the boat. Okay, yeah. So it's Pastor's boat.
Yes,
and
it is mine.
I was cruising around the Caribbean. Actually, it was really nice. It was so beautiful there. It's a little hot right now, but still nice to be out.
I'm afraid to fill it up with gas. This marine gas is expensive.
I know. It was. I saved the receipts, though, so you could reimburse me for the gas along the way.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. Tracy, she loved that Barb saw positives in God sightings rather than seeing problems in our story. The McAllisters say God is good. Alex wants to know, why do some people say believing on Jesus instead of believing in Jesus?
Well, because sometimes maybe we're just talking, I believe in Jesus, but sometimes we have a struggle. I'm holding on to Jesus. I'm clinging to him. I'm believing on him like I'm clinging to him.
It's like a more action-y kind of thing.
That's correct.
Clinging to him. You know, Ruth clung
to
Naomi
true story. Yeah.
last week. Yeah.
And Jesus told Mary, stop clinging. So,
Yeah. All right, so I don't see any more questions. If you have any, you got to get them in quick. Otherwise, we're not going to be able to answer them live on stream. So before we answer any last questions, Pastor, any preview for the sermon this week?
Well, a lot of people ask me, sometimes I'm out and they want to live something. They'll say, Pastor, do you have a match? And I'll say, I haven't had a match since Samson died. But we're going to talk about Samson. We're going to talk about Samson today, this weekend, and a lot of people know some bits and pieces about Samson, but we're going to look at really why he came, and more about his miraculous birth, what God promised to Manoah and his wife; those were Samson's parents, and what those promises mean to us.
Yeah. All right. Well, I don't see any more questions here, so I guess that's it. I'm looking forward to hearing what you have to say about Samson, and maybe you could do some lifting while you're in there, since you have no match since Samson died.
I'll probably be standing on that boat filling it with gas for a long time. So.
Your arm gets tired doing that. It's
yes,
a big
it
tank.
does.
All righty. Well, everybody, thank you for joining us for a special edition of Chatting with Chuck.
Yeah.
We got to have a special guest, so that was fun.
Mm-hmm.
And we will be back next week to talk with you again. So be thinking about those questions, and we would love to address those in the chat. I mean, not in the chat. You leave them in the chat. We'll address them in this chat between us. Any last words?
See you, love you. Thanks for being here.
All
it's
right.
boat time.
Bye-bye. We're going sailing.